Welcome to today's Explainer, where we take the overwhelming flood of daily news and distill it down into exactly what you need to know. It's August 9, 2026, and we're gonna breach down the top 10 stories completely dominating the headlines right now, both here in India and across the globe. But more importantly, we're gonna look at why these developments actually matter to you, to your safety, your wallet, and your future. We've got a lot of ground to cover today, from major economic shifts to some truly heartbreaking national events, so let's jump right in.
Okay, here's our roadmap for today. We've organized this chaotic news cycle into four clear themes: shockwaves across the nation, aviation scares and safety, policies impacting your wallet, and global ties and patriotism. Let's get started.
Shockwaves across the nation. We're starting with two stories that have just been an absolute emotional whiplash for the country. On one hand, we're in this agonizing wait for the Court of Arbitration for Sport to rule on Vinesh Phogat's appeal for an Olympic silver medal. It's this story of incredible athletic triumph that was suddenly brutally halted by a technicality. But contrasting so sharply with that is the grim reality unfolding in Kolkata. The truly horrific murder of a trainee doctor at RG Kar Medical College has absolutely sent shockwaves through the entire medical community. And this isn't just a localized tragedy anymore. It has sparked nationwide protests, with doctors standing unified, making urgent demands for a CBI probe and actual, meaningful safety measures. Both of these events are so entirely different, but they are absolutely commanding the nation's collective emotional energy today. Now, shifting gears from social tragedy to the financial and political world, a massive storm has just erupted. A brand new report from Hindenburg Research has dropped, and this time, they are leveling some extremely serious allegations directly at the chairperson of SEBI, which, as you know, is India's market regulator. I mean, when the head of a major regulatory body gets named by a prominent short seller, it immediately creates ripples, not just across the stock markets, but straight through political corridors as well.
So what do we actually make of this? Well, what's crucial right now is stripping away all the noise. We really need to look purely at the stated allegations and the official responses regarding the ongoing Adani Group probes. The core of Hindenburg's claim revolves around the CBI chairperson's alleged connections to entities involved in those specific investigations. By keeping our focus exactly on what the report claims and what the official defensive responses are, we can look at the facts objectively. We want to stay completely free from the intense political spin that is just saturating the airwaves right now. This is a highly sensitive, developing situation, and it's absolutely going to have major implications for market integrity and regulatory trust going forward.
Moving on to Section 2. Aviation scares and safety. So imagine you're a passenger on this flight. An Air India flight traveling from Phuket to Delhi unexpectedly hits incredibly severe mid-air turbulence. And I'm not talking about your standard everyday bumpy ride. This was severe enough to immediately trigger internal safety reviews. We've actually been seeing mid-air turbulence incidents making global headlines a lot recently, and this specific event brings the harsh reality of changing atmospheric conditions and flight safety directly home to Indian aviation. So how are authorities responding? Following that Air India turbulence, officials are actively reviewing flight data recorders and analyzing crew reports to figure out exactly what went wrong. But that's not the whole story. In a completely separate, really frightening incident, a training aircraft crashed right on the runway at the Baramati airstrip. Thankfully, these combined incidents have essentially forced a hard reset on safety protocols. The DGCA and aviation authorities are currently executing strict emergency drills at Baramati and pushing for updated operational procedures across the board. The goal here is simple. Whether you are flying internationally or training domestically, passenger and crew safety has to remain the absolute highest priority. All right, let's dive into Section 3, policies impacting your wallet. When it comes down to it, the key takeaway for everyday consumers like us is a number we all absolutely love to see: zero. Lately, there's been a massive amount of debate and, frankly, some pretty confusing headlines regarding merchant fees, RBI guidelines, and what the future holds for UPI transactions. You might be wondering, am I going to have to start paying to scan a QR code at my local tea stall? Well, the short answer is no. Despite all the back-end restructuring of merchant charges we're hearing about, UPI transactions remain largely free for everyday, peer-to-peer, and small merchant users. So your daily digital wallet habits? They're totally safe for now. Meanwhile, a major legislative shift is brewing when it comes to property and land management. The proposed Waqf Board Amendment Bill is aiming to completely overhaul the current system, which right now is largely manual and highly fragmented. By mandating strict digital records, the government's stated goal is increased transparency and accountability in managing these massive land assets. But, as you might expect, this isn't just a simple administrative update. The bill is currently facing stiff, vocal political pushback from various sides, making it easily one of the most hotly debated pieces of legislation in the country right now.
Now, let's connect the dots on how global events actually hit your bank account. This is a classic chain reaction. Escalating geopolitical tensions, specifically what we're seeing in the Middle East, directly trigger fluctuating and rising crude oil prices. And because India is such a massive importer of oil, this threatens to drive up our domestic inflation. Essentially, it means that a conflict happening thousands of miles away could very quickly dictate the price of your fuel, your groceries, and your daily commute. Everything is connected.
And finally, Section 4, Global Ties and Patriotism. Looking internationally, despite heavy Western pressure and some really complex global dynamics, India and Russia are actively choosing to deepen their strategic partnership. What's interesting is that the current focus isn't just on traditional defense. They are heavily focused on infrastructure. We're talking about a major push to boost connectivity, enhance vital rail links, and streamline trade logistics. This is a very clear, very deliberate signal of India maintaining its strategic autonomy, making sure that supply chains and bilateral trade routes with Moscow remain robust, completely regardless of the current geopolitical weather. But back at home, the atmosphere is distinctly different. The momentum for Independence Day has been meticulously building all month long. It started back in early August with the announcement of the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign, urging all of us to hoist the national flag at home. And right now, literally between August 9th and 14th, we're seeing massive, incredibly vibrant Tiranga Yatra rallies, led by various political figures sweeping across cities and towns. The whole idea is to foster a really strong, unified sense of national pride and patriotism as the country gears up to celebrate August 15th. As we wrap up today's explainer, I want you to just take a second and reflect on everything we've just unpacked. We've looked at the quiet relief of zero-rupee UPI fees and the looming threat of global oil inflation. We've examined strict new aviation safety protocols, incredibly deep national heartbreak, intense political showdowns over market regulators and property laws, and a nationwide swell of patriotism. So I leave you with this final thought. Out of all these incredibly diverse, dynamic developments, which one do you believe will have the longest-lasting impact on our future? Thanks so much for joining me. Keep questioning the headlines, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.